So, welcome. My name's David Swanson. I'm executive director at World Beyond War. And the agenda for this 1 hour meeting is I'm going to talk to you for a minute or two about what the point of this Global Days of Action is. We're going to hear briefly from three people who we have the privilege of having on this call with us who have planned similar events in the past and are planning events for 20 days or so from now, who can tell you a little bit about what's working and not in their parts of the world. Then I'm going to briefly go over all the resources that we've got to help you. And then we're going to have it open to your questions and discussions. So this is our second annual Global Day of Action to close bases, or calling it Days of Action, and trying to do them between the weekend in most parts of the world of the 21st and 22nd and Monday, the 23rd of February. So 3 days. If you absolutely have to have your event outside of, but close to those 3 days, that's okay too. And last year we did 3 separate things over the course of a year. We did a day of action, a day of media, and a day of education. Now we're combining them all. So you can do an educational event, a media event, an activist event, any kind of event under the sun. And I'll show you the resources for all kinds of them. And it can be about every military base on Earth, or a particular one, a domestic one, a foreign one, a big one, a small one. So it's pretty open here. And there are a lot of wars going on, a lot of particular wars, and you can do an event or modify an event that's already being planned to oppose a particular war, or 3 or 6, because they're all also tied to military bases. So let me ask 3 individuals to talk briefly about what they think might be helpful to the rest of us. And then I'll talk a little bit about all these resources we've got for you. Guy Fugap is World Beyond War's Africa organizer, and there's only one event that you'll find on the map on the website right now in Africa, but there are going to be more. And Guy is a master of coordinating events in Africa. So, Guy, what can you tell us?
Okay, thank you. Nice to see you all here. A few things about what we actually do and try to do in Africa regarding the close of bases. The first time we have this discussion among chapters in Africa was 1 year ago. The chapters of Senegal, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, Cameroon, Mali, and Gambia met together in a series of meetings, like trying to map out the bases that we have in Africa to oversee what are their impact in the security in the region, and decide what we can do collectively as chapters of World Beyond War to protest or to close those bases. There have been one major campaign about the closed military bases in Djibouti, the foreign bases. And we also decided to launch another campaign, No Basis Africa. We have been working on that for several months, and we want to use this year's Global Day of Action to officially launch this new campaign, No Basis Africa. It's the idea because we want to explain that these bases in Africa that were supposedly created to help for security purposes instead fueling more insecurity, more violence, more conflict in the region. And the leaders in Africa, they are actually using the pretext of having those bases in Africa to keep the power and not serve the people they are supposed to serve. So we believe that the bases in Africa are not playing a good role. That's why we are campaigning to see how we can get them close. And one positive thing that we have already got is that there is, with the education that is ongoing in the region, there are some leaders who are already envisaging to close bases, in particular the French bases in Africa, the countries who hosted the French bases, such as Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and even Senegal, and I think Chad, Cote d'Ivoire. They have been trying to push the French military outside. So this is a debate in Africa that we want to use this campaign to have like a webinar about this French military that is expelled from Africa. And one thing I've been doing, particularly in Cameroon, is because Cameroon has military bases from the US military bases. I think there are 4 now. And we have a cycle of conflicts that are in Cameroon, and we are not seeing what these bases are doing to help conflict, but we have seen that they are as a base for training the military, providing support for military to multiply the killings and so that. So the Cameroon chapter decided to meet with the US embassy in Cameroon like 2 times already. The first time they didn't accept to receive us. The second time we sent a letter, at least they acknowledge received the letter, but never accept to meet us in person. So this year we want to organize a meeting that we invite several like 4 countries who has either bases in Cameroon, US, and other countries who have a strong military power in Cameroon, like France, like UK. We have this five of them. We want to invite them to a meeting, and we hope they will come. I will send the invitation within 3 or 4 days and invite them to come on the 23rd of February so that we can sit and discuss and talk about the impact of the military in our country and in our sub-region in Africa. So this is some of the things that we are planning to do in the coming days.
Wonderful. Thank you, Guy. And of course, half the point of doing a global day of action is that people, including media outlets, pay more attention to what you're doing if it's happening around the world. But another reason is that we can combine our efforts. And if you want to do a local educational event in a distant part of the world about what military bases are doing in Africa, for example, you can talk with Guy, or you can have a protest in the US or the UK or France or several other countries over bases in Africa, together with efforts by people in those African countries. And this sort of teaming up can be quite powerful. Let's welcome Andreas Falk, who is joining us from Sweden, who is with Folk Mot DCA, or People Against DCA, I believe. And DCA, of course, means Defense Cooperation Agreement, even though it has nothing to do with defense and very little to do with cooperation. And he's also with a network called 17 Bases. I think there are going to be at least 4 events getting added on the map on the website in Sweden for a few weeks from now. Andreas, welcome. What can you tell us?
Thanks a lot, David. Yes, that's correct. The DCA is a defense, so-called defense agreement between Sweden and the US that was signed 1.5 years ago. And it opened up 17 Swedish military base areas for the US military. There was a resistance movement starting with that. I mean, taking hold on that resistance to act against the establishment of these bases, but we failed. But we continue the struggle to manifest and demonstrate against the US military on Swedish ground. The development of these 17 base areas has been very varying. It's not at all in all sites where the U.S. activities are present at the moment, but we see that it's progressing. So the activities they are increasing in frequency. In general, Sweden is also applied for membership in NATO in 2022, and these activities are very closely linked and sort of confused for the public. So we are spending a lot of time. Excuse me for the noisy environment. I hope you hear me well. We are working a lot with information spreading. The military bases in Sweden, these 17 bases, they are in most cases located out in the forest, deep in the forest, quite far from where people live. So last year's Global Day of Action, we had a lot of events, but they were like handing out flyers in squares, talking about the military, also addressing 4 sites where Swedish production and testing of military equipment and weapons are ongoing. So we also had quite a good response. We have had quite good response so far for this year's combined event, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I think that it is a good concept. This network that you mentioned, David, 17 base areas, which I started 1.5 years ago. It's focused on linking together people who are in the actual areas where these bases are located, to gather information about the development and how they affect environment and civil society and so on in these areas. In several of these areas, there have been ideas so far about activities. We haven't got any registered yet, but I have 4 that has been forwarded to me that I will put on the World Beyond War website tomorrow. I can strongly, before just briefly touching upon those 4 activities, I can really encourage to create a kind of network, if it's not present at the moment, to connect the different base areas, to inspire each other, to share information, to share experience from what is happening. It encourages a lot, and it's a good interface for discussion on what is going on and what we can actively do. In the north, 1,000 kilometers north of Stockholm, where I'm located, there is Luleå, big military base, also adjacent to one of the biggest testing fields in Europe, and one of the world's most frequently used downloading equipment for satellite data, which is hotspot for the US military. There will be a manifestation, painting on the snow, and an information meeting open for the public to further spread information what is going on. In Umeå, 400 kilometers south from Luleå, there will be a demonstration gathering, as they have a pretty active local peace organization there, and they are running peace cafes regularly, inviting the public for conversations, discussions on militarism and the ongoing development in Sweden and locally. We have Såtenäs in the west of Sweden, which is an airfield, military airfield, strictly fenced in, strictly guarded. There will be a shamanistic organization in collaboration with a street theater group that will have a ceremony on a mount on the hillside close to this airfield, and they will walk solemnly to the gates, playing music. And then the fourth so far reported planned activity is in the south of Sweden, southernmost part. Ravlunda is a shooting range where there was a quite big group last year arranging a picnic and information meeting with speakers. And they will repeat that this year. So the finding ways to inspire each other, to share information and experience from different areas, I have found very useful, and that is my main recommendation from Sweden. Thanks a lot.
Wonderful, thank you. I will, of course, be begging and pleading and prodding everyone who's doing these terrific events to send me photos and videos and reports. And if we have photos of people painting on snow in the northern parts of this planet and spelling things out with bodies on beaches in the warmer parts of this planet, I think we're going to be able to show what a global movement looks like to people. So I'm excited to see some of the visuals. We've got one more speaker who can give us some ideas of, you can do an event if there's no military base anywhere near you. You can do an event at a military base. You can also do protests very effectively at things like airports that are effectively used as military bases and aren't called that. So with that, let's go to Ed Horgan, who is a board member of World Beyond War and a leader of all things anti-war in Ireland, and is muted.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Good. Okay, I've been protesting at Shannon Airport, which is in the west of Ireland, ostensibly a civilian airport, but has been very much used by the US military, going right back to the first Gulf War. I began protesting there in 2001, so I've been at it for 25 years or thereabouts. I've been arrested on about a dozen occasions, prosecuted on 6 occasions, mainly for going into the airport to search US military aircraft or attempt to do so, but usually arrested before I get to do any searching. The last time I went in, we managed to write some graffiti on the engine of a US Navy plane, "Danger, danger, do not fly," even though the plane was being protected by both an Irish Army Guard and by Irish police. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, so they were all asleep until we actually woke them up. Shannon Airport has played quite an important role. In recent years, since 2008, we've had a monthly protest at Shannon Airport, and in more recent times still, over the last couple of months, we've been having protests at Shannon Airport almost every Sunday. The clearly different types of planes who are using Shannon Airport, 2 main types, US military planes, US Air Force, US Navy, but also civilian planes on contract to the US military, transporting troops to Shannon Airport. My estimate is that since the 2001 in particular, since 9/11, over 4 million armed US troops have passed through Shannon Airport. Even though Ireland claims to be a neutral country, this is in clear breach of international laws on neutrality as defined by the Hague Convention. So our Irish government is claiming the benefits of neutrality while grossly abusing that privilege. Our plans for the event on the Sunday, the 22nd of this month, we will we have a number of projects which are ongoing. There is one project called the Black Shamrock, as distinct from the Green Shamrock, because of the shame in Ireland of us assisting with war crimes around the world, and in more recent times assisting in particular with the genocide in Gaza. The vast majority of the Irish people are hugely supportive of Gaza because of our common history of colonization, starvation and abuse. Virtually every town and village in Ireland has weekly protests at the moment, and this contrasts hugely with our Irish government, who are now undermining the United Nations. Up to recently, for Irish soldiers to be sent overseas on peacekeeping missions, they had to be approved by the UN General Assembly by a UN mandate. The government now plans to abandon that, which means Irish soldiers will be going on missions to places like, as happened in the past, Afghanistan and Iraq, and possibly even what I would call bogus peacekeeping missions. On at least one occasion, an Irish soldier or an Irish officer, in fact, who was stationed in Afghanistan under the so-called peace mission, admitted to assisting in killing Afghan fighters with the US Special Forces. So that's mainly. We also have another project which I've been heavily involved in called Naming the Children who have been killed in wars, particularly since 9/11. And in recent times, the Washington Post has published a list of 18,500 children killed since 2003. We have printed off the full 18,500 lists, and we have already read out all those names at protests at Shannon Airport over the last couple of months. We are also hopefully working on eventually publishing a book on the issue of the children killed in wars, not just in the Middle East and Gaza, but across the world, including Africa. So that's part of what we're doing. And again, we find it's very important to internationalize what we're doing, which is one of the reasons I've been involved with World Beyond War. I'm also the founder member of Veterans for Peace Ireland and other national and international organizations. So it's great to meet you all. And clearly a small country like Ireland or a small group like World Beyond War Ireland cannot do much on our own against the might of the US and the NATO military and others. So cooperating at international level is vital for us all. Thank you very much.
Very well said, Ed. Horgan, thank you. And I'll show you in a minute with all the resources, sample media advisories, but it's possible to connect what you're doing to all kinds of things in the news. And when some sociopathic idiot in the United States accuses other NATO members of not helping kill enough people in Afghanistan and Iraq, and you have European so-called leaders protesting, no, we murdered as many people in Afghanistan as the US troops did. This is not the only possible response, right? It's possible to respond. Europe is on the front lines of providing healthcare and retirement and environmental policies, and where the hell is the U.S. government? And so we can address news stories in different ways as we look at this infrastructure of mass murder. Let me just go over briefly some of the resources we've got before we open this up to any questions and concerns. But let me say before I forget that if anybody's got, including our speakers, but everybody else has got a paragraph or 10 or a photo or a very short video about what you're planning or about your anti-bases campaigning that we can publish and promote and use to promote these upcoming days of action, please send it to me right away. But on the days of action, as soon as you've done your event and put out your media release and so forth, please email me. Email me at david at worldbeyondwar.org or info@worldbeyondwar.org. Photos, videos, reports. Let me share screen and I'll show you what I'm talking about. This is the website that's at dataclosebases.org is the easiest way to remember it. And if you scroll down a bit and click on reports from 2025 actions, you'll find all the wonderful reports and media coverage and photos and videos from last year, just from February of last year. And that's what we're looking for this time. There were over 60 events last year in February, and we've got, I think, 8 on the map now, but that's also what we had at this point last year. And we know of, we're at least going to double that just from the events we know of from our 3 speakers here. So if you go to the website, you see a box to translate to any language. They'll translate almost every word of the website into your chosen language. You'll see a map of events that people have added, and a button that says click to host. That's where you add your event. You don't need to wait for every last detail. We'll be able to start helping promote your event as soon as you add it to the map, and you can go back and change and add details. But if you go here and click on where it says click to host and click OK, and then fill this in, the name of your event, the type of event, the time and place, and please put in an actual address. It can't be a description like past the big tree after the corner. Like, it has to be the nearest actual address if the system is gonna know where your thing is and put it on the map. And then feel free in this description box down here to add any kind of lengthy description of it's past the 3rd tree or whatever. Fill all that in and click save and go to next step, and click save and go to next step, and the thing will come through and show up on our map. And about half the people who have put events in here have failed to click the final submit button. So then there's a draft event that's not published to the map, and I have to contact you and say, did you want to publish this? Should I publish this? So make sure you get to the end and click submit. Then here's the ones in a list that people have put here so far. Here are endorsers. If you know of an organization that might want to endorse and help spread the word about this, you can scroll down to where it says endorse and add them, and they'll show up here. And then when you get to this section of the webpage with all these blue boxes, these are all resources that you may find helpful. Major reasons to close bases, all kinds of slideshows and reports and speakers who are available. You can take one of these slideshows and build an event around it. You can invite a speaker or 3. You can do an event about this report that we put out at the end of last year, or a local report. You can show one of these videos or films. This is a great type of an event, a film screening and discussion with a speaker. So these are all resources that you can use and ask me about and tell me what to add that we're missing. Where it says action types, this is to try to communicate that you can do an event with speakers, an event with a film, a rally, a protest, a demonstration, handing out flyers, a concert, a press conference with a proposal for what a base should be converted into that's actually useful for people. A banner drop, a sit-in, a protest at a media outlet. You can do anything, and we will encourage others to get inspired and try doing what you did. You can include as part of a campaign, of which this event is just one piece, the demands of what you're trying to get changed in the world. And this is the big one, the action planning toolkit. And if you click on it and you scroll down a bit, you find very helpful, maybe more than you need, but take what you want, steps for planning an action. And if you get a small team of people together, you can assign duties and get everything done. How to design an action, how to create visuals for your action, how to do outreach and promotion, how to reach out to the media, how to make your own media, talking points, how to take photos and videos, sort of a checklist to have a great action, what to do before, during, and after. And there are a lot of resources here. There are images you can use right now on social media and flyers and media. There are images that are templates that you can modify, put in your own words, your own time and place. There are sample emails that you can send out to your list, recruiting people to take part in your event or promoting the day in general. There are customizable posters and talking points and a media advisory. That is something to use soon to let the media know this is being planned, get it on their calendar. A media release, that is something to be used immediately after the event. This just happened. Here's a report. Here's photos. Doing the media's job for them. And social media toolkits, images and sample posts that can be used right now. So the idea is to make this as easy as possible. So we've tried to create resources that help with that, and we're eager to improve them and add to them. But that's the goal. So how are we doing? What questions do you have? You can type a question in the chat or raise your hand and be called on to speak like a normal human being. What's happening in your part of the world that we should know about? What are you confused or concerned about? What brilliant ideas do you have that have never occurred to us? Jonathan, go ahead.
Hi, just got a question. Here in the middle of Central Australia, about 20 k's from Pine Gap, joint US Defence military base. Just a question about the map. I've jumped on and clicked on to host an event. I'll scroll down. Can we actually see the events populate on the map? At the moment, I don't see any events on the map I'm looking at. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong spot.
I'm not sure I understand the question, but let me try.
I'm just wondering, where's the map where we can see the events that have already been posted?
So the answer to most questions is day2closebases.org. Okay. And if you go to day2closebases.org and you look at this map right here,
right. I'm on that website and I couldn't seem to find the map. I will keep scrolling. Is that on the homepage?
Again, day2closebases.org. It also takes you to WorldBeyondWar.org/closebases if for some reason you prefer that. There's a big graphic that's blue, dark blue, and light blue. Immediately under it, there's a map.
Okay, because I can see a map of the United States. Can I share and I'll show you what I can see? Actually, I can see the world.
Okay.
So that's the map I can see.
So scroll up because you're very far down a page. Okay, so you scroll down because you just went right past it. Okay, disturbingly, that big empty blank space is supposed to have a map in it.
Okay. What I might do is try a different search engine and see if that solves it.
I don't really have a clue other than to guess that there's some security setting on your browser, or
I'll try a different browser.
Can we try to get a survey of there's 30 people here. Can you, I don't know, raise your hand if you get a big blank space instead of a map? Raise your hand if you see the map. Okay, so we have a high percentage of people who respond to questions saying they do see the maps. So why don't you email me after this, Jonathan, and we'll try to troubleshoot. But the rest of our friends here are seeing the map. And
is there anybody else who's not seeing the map?
Not that's Aaron also does not see the map.
What's the URL to look at it? Paste the
day2closebases.org. day2closebases.org. I'll try to type it into the chat. day2closebases.org. So we have two people who see a big blank space instead of a map of events, which is very disturbing, and we will try to fix it. Maybe we should.
I'll check with some other, David, I'll check with some other people in Australia to see if others are having that problem or if it's just me right in the middle.
Okay, let's try to call on Aaron and Peter. I don't know how I answer Peter's question in the chat. What is the browser? The browser is the thing you're using to look at the internet. But let's call on Aaron since he has both kinds of hands up, and then Peter. Aaron?
Yeah. I don't know if you have an ad blocker, but I disabled my ad blocker and the map showed up after that. So that might also be a factor if you have an ad blocker or anything like that.
Thank you. Very helpful. Do you want to try that, Jonathan?
I will try that. Thanks.
You know how all the evil corporate sites tell you must turn off your ad blocker? We don't have that, but maybe you do actually have to turn off your ad blocker. We also don't have ads, so it's not blocking any ads. Peter. But I have an ad blocker and I'm seeing the map, so I don't.
Yeah, actually, for me, it shows up with Firefox, but not with Edge. And I have an ad blocker on Firefox, but not on Edge, so it's backwards. So Edge doesn't like it.
Okay. We will try to survey people we have a second call today, and we have everybody on email, and see if we can figure out which browsers and which computers. But maybe Edge. And maybe I will just add to the page. If for some strange reason you're not seeing a map here, please try a different browser or try turning off your ad blocker. But I will try to get a better solution than that.
Thanks, David.
Which, also Sean is typing in the chat what I just said. But beyond inability to see the map, does anyone have other questions about planning an event? Liz, I think, were you raising your hand? If people are clicking raise hand, that's going to be the best way for me to spot you. But if you can't do that, raise your hand or just shout out. Liz, go ahead.
And thanks, David. No, I'm just wondering if anybody has any ideas to increase media attention for these protests. It seems to go under the radar here a lot, and we go down to Shannon, and I know Ed has done it for so many years, and it was just great to get some attention onto the protests at Shannon, because I know a lot of people are concerned, and we just like the media to cover it a bit more. So any little gesture or thing we could do to entice the media. Thank you.
Well, I have a few ideas, but if Ed or Andreas or Guy or Sean or anybody else has any ideas, they should click raise hand or shout out. But in my experience, media outlets tend to love things that are both local and global, or local and national, or continental at the same time. So I would play up the fact that this isn't just protest number 5,623 at Shannon, but is part of a global day of protests that are focused on exactly what these weird protesters at Shannon have been screaming about for decades. Of course, some of the best media coverage around the protests at Shannon have come around things that Ed was telling us about before, that is risking arrest and people going to prison and so forth. That's, I leave that up to you, what sort of event and what sort of risks people are able and wanting to take. But there also was something of a media opening that we benefited from around Shannon some years back, when George W. Bush, I think, was president. One of these idiots was president and was coming. No, it wasn't Bush. It was Obama, I think, was coming to Ireland, and there was news about that, and we somehow managed to squeeze into the story the censorship of our billboards, I think, around the time of a presidential visit or something. Anyway, if you can in any way involve celebrities, even horrible, evil celebrities, you've got an edge. And they don't allow, as far as I know, anti-war billboards on the road to Shannon Airport. So if you want a media story about censorship, all you have to do, you don't have to have a dime. All you have to do is try to buy some billboards saying we want peace, not military bases, and they'll say no. And then you go to the media and say, this is the freedoms with all these troops are defending. What is this?
Just
okay,
briefly.
Go ahead, Ed.
Yes, in 2004, George W. Bush was visiting Shannon Airport, and three of us, led by me basically, went down to the Shannon estuary in a stunt to arrest George W. Bush. It managed to get international attention because George W. Bush was actually delayed getting to Shannon, and suddenly an Irish former retired army officer was arrested in the middle of the Shannon estuary trying to arrest George W. Bush. So stunts like that, we never expected to get remarkably close to him. But the fact that we did it and the timing of the event worked quite well. So stunts like that can and did in that occasion draw significant international attention. Also at Shannon, we combine peaceful non-action type of events, but also in recent times, we've had 12 people arrested going into Shannon Airport in groups of 3, attempting to search or even damage US military planes. The first of the trial began today. In fact, I've just come from Ennis Circuit Court, where a preliminary trial began. So we now have 12 relatively young peace activists who, of their own accord, are taking action and being prosecuted by the Irish state. So combining non-action events like peaceful protests and also action events, including damaging aircraft, which is something people shouldn't undertake lightly, but given what's happening in Gaza, especially and elsewhere, is also very important. So thank you.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
And there are lots of comments in the chat, including again from Sean saying, don't forget about social media. And I would say more broadly, don't forget about being the media. Make your own media, make a terrific little video and send it to me and everywhere else in the world, and we'll promote it between now and the event. Make your own photos, reports, videos at the event. Best way to get lazy corporate media to plagiarize and use what you hand them, but also to reach people yourself through the power of the internet. Let's go to Sylvia and then Peter.
Thank you. It's really, I live near Menwith Hill, and so I'm quite involved with Menwith Hill, but it was the idea that the US bases in Britain are usually called RAF bases, so the British involvement somewhat. And with having the interview with the work that's being done in Africa, I really do like the idea of perhaps getting the information at British bases in Africa, so to have that sort of display together. I'm finding that quite an interesting thing to do, but whether it would take some work, of course. But to make those connections, perhaps, in this time that we live in, that we don't take the words of lots of countries into seriously. We think we know the answer, but we should be making more connections with them. And I thought I would be quite enthusiastic about trying to do something on that line. Thank you.
Wonderful. And we've tried to make it so that nothing actually requires any work. So for example, if you want a map and list and details of all the British bases in Africa, here very quickly is what you do. You go to day2closebases.org. You click here on Find Foreign Bases on a Map. It takes you to this tool here, and you go down to the UK's 117 bases in 38 countries.
My goodness.
And you click on it. And once you've clicked on it, you have a map of just UK foreign bases. And these ones are the ones in Africa. And you click on one of the ones in Africa, it tells you about it over here to the right. So we've tried to give you a head start on that.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Incredible.
But it's also, worth looking at European bases in Europe, where so-called leaders are pretending to stand up to Mr. Trump while allowing Trump's bases in Europe to be used to threaten wars on places like Iran. So, Peter. Well, I'm going to call on Lady Carla Davis, who's typed in the chat that she can't raise her hand, and then we'll see if Peter is answering or Jonathan as well. Are you there?
I'm here. I don't know why I when I press on show captions, it doesn't allow me to raise my hand.
Well, I would think you would click on react and then on raise hand. I don't think it's
Okay,
related to showing captions, but
right.
What did you want to raise your hand for?
Well, before when you asked if we could see something.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
So
I did do react, and also that still doesn't work. It said it shows it, but it doesn't allow me to do it. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Quite all right. Well, we're glad that you can see the map, though.
Yeah. Thank you.
Let me try Peter and Jonathan and Cinda, if I said that right. Peter, are you there? Okay, Peter, I'm gonna. Oh,
can you hear me?
Just barely, yes.
Oh, sorry, I'll shout into the mic. Sorry, I've been putting a lot of stuff up in the chat, so it was mainly that. One thing is we've done quite a bit of press work about Israeli planes landing at RAF Mildenhall. Got very little coverage apart from something called Declassified. They're doing a project on US bases in the UK. They're also interested in Shannon. Anyway, I'll leave it at that because my mic's buggered. But
that sounds like a terrific focus, something that could be a big story and hasn't been yet. Terrific idea. And media outlets that are interested in bases, do let them know about all these actions, and we can connect them with several planned actions around the world. Jonathan.
David, can you just go over how you showed how we searched for all the military bases in a country? I didn't quite see how you did that search.
So,
and I have found the other map of the events. So I used a different browser and that worked, which is great.
That's terrific.
I couldn't find that map. Yeah.
So there are numerous ways to get to anything, and there are numerous ways just from this page to get to just that map. But I'll just try to show you the one that might be the easiest and most memorable. So yet again, this is day2closebases.org. You go to day2closebases.org. If you scroll down, there's the map or the blank space. Scroll down a little bit more. There's the endorsers. Scroll down a little bit more. Here it says find foreign bases on
a map. Yep.
And if you click find foreign bases on a map, it takes you to WorldBeyondWar.org/military-empires. And these military empires are, the recent sort, made out of bases. And this map you see at first is all the world's foreign military bases that we know of. But if you want to get more specific, you can click on this and it'll narrow it to just the United States 877 bases in 95 countries, or this, and it'll narrow it to just the UK's 117 bases in 38 countries, etc. So domestic bases aren't on here. Bases that we haven't found out about aren't on here, but these are the big foreign base building empires, the United States and the little ones that are, bigger than the rest of the world's. These are the, down here, the countries that have like one foreign military base. So that's one place to find military bases. There's also in these resources, if you want to find domestic bases in the United States, we've got a link to a good map for that. But any of these questions, the thing you're looking for is probably right on this website. But if you need me to help you find it, just send me an email.
You ever scroll down to where it's got other countries with military bases?
I'm sorry?
I'm just on the page where it's got other country, the area with other countries with military bases. So just below the countries with military bases in 10 or more countries.
So
if we click on it, does it actually highlight? When I click on it, just goes to the whole world as opposed to, no, you're right. I was just throwing a little bit. It had a map of Australia, but it was for Singapore. But when I open it up, it does go to Singapore. Yep.
Okay, let's go to Cindy.
And
all good, thanks.
Hi. What do you want to say?
I'm Sind from the North East Scotland C&D group, which is the Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament. We're a new affiliate, so it's the first time we're really linking in with a World Beyond War Global Day of Action. So
wonderful.
I wanted to flag up that we're linking in with the big protest at the Faslane nuclear submarine base near Glasgow on the 14th of March. So there's a few people from Europe or Ireland who might like to come over. And on the 21st of February, we're going to have a public talk, so like an education and media event about Faslane. And hopefully that's going to get more people on our buses that we're organising to get to Faslane. So we're linking the two together because the 14th of March is obviously later. But I just wanted to flag that up in case anybody is interested in coming to it.
That's wonderful. And it's also wonderful that people in Scotland are objecting to the United States piracy, attacking ships that have been to Venezuela and using Scotland to do it. And anything that you can connect to, actual opposition to Trump's lawless ripping down of the basic ideas of the rule of law, I think is going to get more attention and interest, and maybe help inspire people in other countries that are a little bit less courageous than Scotland. So I think it's great.
Thanks.
Well, if we're going to stop at an hour, we've got 4 minutes. Who's got a question or comment? Again, Jonathan.
So I work for the Independent and Peaceful Australia Network, and we're currently developing our own map of all the foreign military bases in Australia. I notice there's quite a number missing from your map. Can we just send you all the information we have on our bases and that they get added to your map?
It is an eternally in progress project. We have yet to find a single human being who thinks our bases map is correct at any given moment in time. We plead with everyone eternally to send us whatever you've got. We may or may not agree. We may think that something adds up to a military base by our definition that somebody else doesn't think constitutes a military base. We may think something amounts to being a French military base or a US military base that somebody really doesn't think it is. No, it's really the local country's base. Totally. So there can be slight disagreements as to what is what. But
that's all right.
The most common comment we get from anyone is, "You're totally freaking wrong. You've got 10 times or 1% the bases you should have. It's all it's all wrong." And we say, please send us what you think is right, and we research.
I imagine
we update.
Yeah. We have. I live 20 k's from Pine Gap, which is considered, I guess, along with Menwith Hill, the most important US base outside of the USA. So definitely, I think that should be on the map. And I'll get our treasurer, who is doing the map, to flick you all this information.
We have, of course, heard of Pine Gap for decades now. They've even got propaganda television shows about it, named for it.
Yes.
If you
I couldn't see it on the map.
Well, I'm going to try to help you see it on the map, unless I'm badly mistaken, then I'm going to be deeply embarrassed. But this is Australia, and this is Pine
Gap. It is
Gap.
there. Okay, on my map.
The way to screw it up and not have it be on the map is to look at only the bases of some country other than the United States. So for example, if I click on UK foreign bases or Indian foreign bases, it's not going to include Pine Gap. If I click on US foreign bases,
okay, I was on this.
It is going to include Pine Gap. And you don't have to scroll down and choose a different empire. You can also just go here and choose operating country. So see where it says operating country, United States, that means the country that's occupying the other country with its base, whereas the host country in the case of this base is Australia. So take a few minutes to search the map and make sure that we haven't that we've really left out the most famous base on the island, and then email me and we will try to update it.
Yep. It's there. I was looking at the Singapore map, so that's Singapore bases, so that's what's thrown me.
I don't know if Singapore has bases in Australia, but
there's two come up.
Okay.
So that's
but they aren't the US bases in Australia. They're the Singapore bases in Australia.
All right, I'll play around with it, and that makes sense what you've just described. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm
So
glad it's
again,
not missing.
you can all reach me anytime, David at WorldBeyondWar.org or info at WorldBeyondWar.org, or use the contact form on the website. The website is dataclosebases.org, and we're going to be emailing and doing social media and doing everything we can to promote all of these upcoming events. So if you can add your event to the map and tell us anything about it, we'll promote it. And anybody who wants to send in a paragraph or a photo or a video about your anti-base work, we will promote that as a means of promoting everybody's events. So we've gone over.
So many thanks to everybody.
Thank you, Ed, and thank you to Guy, and thank you to Andreas, and thank you to everyone here. And
quick question, David, before everyone goes. I'm trying to select the host country, and the United States doesn't show up. United Arab Emirates, United
Jonathan
Kingdom,
and I are going to
computer.
stay on and look at the map for a while, but
Right. Thank you.
Anybody else who wants to, but everybody else, thank you very, very much.
Yeah.
This was a great 1 hour meeting, and we will have another one in parts of the world where you might be awake in, I guess, 9 hours from now. So
Good.
thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, David.
Recording.
Thank you.
Thank you so
everyone.
much, David. Good luck
Thank
with
you very
next
much.
Will
Thank you.
it be the same link, David?
It happens to be the same link. Yes. Thank you. I'm going to stop the recording.